Hey guys, I'm John, and in this video we're going to find out how ace I think this is. So guys, in this video I'm going to give you my review of the movie The Suicide Squad 2021. So this is a soft reboot, rehash, remake, reimagining something of The Suicide Squad for the DCEU. Now, this doesn't wash away what was done before, so the Suicide Squad that released in 2016, this is still a relevant and part of whatever DC considers canon in their movie universe, because it's all a bit wish-wash anyway, but it still fits as part of the greater universe that DC have been attempting to create. And this time, though, they've sort of tried something a bit different, okay? So, whereas the other ones have stuck to a bit of a sort of a restriction on what was allowed content-wise in the movies, the Suicide Squad does not, okay? So, pretty much anything's possible in this film. There's violence in it, there's nudity in it, there's swearing galore, there's just everything you could want in a movie, really. And to sort of have James Gunn at the helm and pretty much give him free will to do whatever the hell he wants, it's just a stroke of pure genius, to be fair. I'm a massive James Gunn fan from like the films he's done in the past, such as like Super and Slither, and to let him loose with something like this, it is brilliant. So Suicide Squad still follows similar sort of footsteps to what the previous film did. So a team of criminals, villains, is sort of assembled to do a job that seems a bit basically of a suicide mission, you know, as the name states. And then it's just watching them trying to accomplish this, as well as fighting amongst each other, because, you know, bad guys can't get along, and all the stupid sort of capers that they get up to. So it follows sort of similar beats to what was done in the previous Suicide Squad film, but the Suicide Squad does it so much better. So much better. And the ensemble cast that they sort of build up is amazing. So this one has like a larger roster of characters this time, and each one is given their own little identity and sort of shown what to do. And some of them are just really weird. Some real obscure, real strange characters are put into this movie. And it was sort of James Gunn stated that he wanted to do this because that was what the original sort of imagining of the comic run of the Suicide Squad. So it was get all these sort of B-grade characters and put them together in the hope that they'd sort of form a team that was equivalent to just one sort of A-grade villain. And that was the idea behind it. But obviously, like, as you see in the trailers, there is a few sort of returning characters. So obviously Harley Quinn's back, Rick Flag's back, Captain Boomerang's back. So all these characters return from the previous Suicide Squad film. And it's just nice to sort of see that continuation, and they bring obviously the same actors back and everything, which is always good. And like, I am glad that they sort of went with the idea, because Idris Elba was originally cast to replace Will Smith as Deadshot, for Will Smith was doing something else. But I'm so glad that they sort of changed him to be Bloodsport instead, so that Will Smith could return at a later date if he wanted to. So I do like that they sort of changed it around like that. Very similar characters, because they're both hitmen. But where the Suicide Squad sort of excels in the hands of James Gunn is pretty much its comedy. Okay, I was just laughing all the way through this film, and it is very sort of well constructed as well. So the comedy doesn't take away from sort of the purpose of the mission that they're trying to achieve. And the group of characters go, so they all go to this remote island where some dictator's trying to take over and, you know, be a bad guy sort of thing. It's a bit like the Expendables, to be honest. And they all get thrown on this island, and then like Task Force X, which they prefer to be called in this film, or, you know, the Suicide Squad, they go to the island, and it's their job to sort of stop it. Now, this sort of location and setting, I think, is a lot better than what came in the last one, because in Suicide Squad 2016, they were in the middle of a city, and all these like explosions and big things were going on, and sort of like in the big sort of battle at the end, and everything was going crazy. And I never got how in one of these major cities, a superhero didn't look and go, "Something going down there, I better go stop it." It was as if they were like, "It's my night off." And I never got that, because, you know, something like that going on in a major city, you'd think, you know, superheroes would be there, because, you know, that's what superheroes do. So the setting for the Suicide Squad is much better in that respect, because it's a remote island somewhere. So the events that occur on this island only occur to those that know what's happening. So it's really good that they're there, you know. And obviously in the big DC universe, the Watchtower hasn't been created yet, so no one will see it. And it's really sort of adds to build more of a story, because they're on this remote location and nobody knows they're there, so it's up to them to do it, and there's no backup, there's no plan B, it's all just all or nothing for them. And it's the journey they go on. The character interactions in it are brilliant. Okay, like the standouts in it are Idris Elba is just amazing in it. Okay, he really is a standout for it. So is John Cena. John Cena's really, really good. He's really dry with his sort of humour, and it's the sort of camaraderie between those two, because they're both hitmen, they're both like killing, and then like you'll see them sort of in certain points trying to outdo each other, and, you know, get the best kill and things like that, and it's this sort of like competition between them. It just adds that whole dynamic to the characters more. And it was also good because even though Harley Quinn is in it, she's not the main focus of it, which I thought was a real good decision, because I know everything else, Harley Quinn's always been the main one, because everybody knows it's Harley Quinn. And I'm not saying that Margot Robbie isn't an awesome Harley Quinn, because she is, you know, but it's good that the spotlight doesn't focus on her. There are quite a few times where Harley isn't even in it for a good length of time, and it focuses on the other characters. And in this respect, it really sort of builds more of a dynamic between everybody else that's in the film. Now, one thing of note, if you do watch it, is it's been mentioned to the build-up to this film, don't get too attached. Seriously, this film, honestly, by the end of it, I didn't even think anybody was going to survive. They pick people off left and right. I mean, there are some survivors. I'm not going to say who, but there are some survivors, and it was very sort of shocking in some ways, the way characters come and go quite sort of swiftly. And some of the deaths in it are great. Okay, so they really don't hold back. And you know what? Kudos to Warner Brothers for letting James Gunn have free reign to do what he wanted, because what he did is really good. Now, I know he does well with the Guardians of the Galaxy, but Marvel has a certain sort of restriction on like content that they will approve. Whereas Warner Brothers have just gone, do you know what? Do what you want. They must have sort of watched like Super before and what James Gunn did, and thought, you know what, this guy can make a cool film with a lot of violence, so just go for it. And he does, and it's brilliant. And I'm not a massive fan of the DCEU. They're okay, do you know what I mean? But Suicide Squad, do you know, when I finished watching it, I could quite easily just put it back on and watch it again. It is such an enjoyable film to watch. The pacing's really good in it. Now, the story isn't anything too complex and too, you know, doesn't go into too much sort of thing. It is just like, there's something on that island, we need you guys to go in and sort of stop it sort of thing at any cost. You know, your lives don't matter, just do what you do best. And that's sort of like the basic premise of it, and it's just like the journey to get there. And it's just such a funny film, and when the action scenes kick in, the action's so well choreographed and everything's so well done in it, and you can tell that everybody in the cast is having a lot of fun when they're doing it as well. And overall, this sits quite highly for me in the DC films that have been released in the extended universe. Now, some of them are okay, like I say. For me, I think standouts so far have been the first Wonder Woman film, Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I really enjoyed Birds of Prey, because again, it was a fun film, And this is what the Suicide Squad does. It is a fun film. It's an enjoyable film. It's not a film for kids, but it's a very enjoyable film. And I think that's what the DCEU needs. It needs this spark of enjoyment to be added to the films. It's still got a dark tone to it because it's quite a violent film, and these are bad guys. Do you know what I mean? And it's portrayed that they are villains. There's no sort of glossing over that these guys could be good. They just genuinely are bad guys, and that fact isn't hidden, which was nice. You know what I mean? They aren't putting these characters on saying you need to vote for these characters because they're on the screen. They're like, yeah, these guys are bad. That's just how it is, and it's really good. And I'm hoping like future installments from the DCU are going to sort of add this fun to it, because all the rest of them have just been sort of average to me. Some of them worse than others, and I'm hoping that this is a step forward, because like I say, Birds of Prey I thought was an enjoyable film, and the Suicide Squad just gets even better, and it is an exceptionally good film. I would highly recommend it. I really would, on all fronts, and like all the actors are great, and James Gunn again with his soundtrack, he always picks good songs for his films. His films always have a great soundtrack, and the Suicide Squad is no exception. It has an awesome soundtrack and everything just fits perfectly. Every character, sort of the main characters, all have a moment to shine. And it's just really good. One of my favourite characters, or a couple of my favourite characters, were the CG characters, to be honest with you. I thought Weasel was brilliant. When he's first introduced, because he's introduced quite early on, he's just so funny. So weird. Such a strange character. But he's so funny. Some of the stupid things he does, like how he exits a plane near the beginning, like a helicopter thing, wherever. I was giggling so much. Weasel's brilliant. And then King Shark, man. King Shark is outstanding. And Stallone's voice performance is just brilliant. And James Gunn has this way. So King Shark's similar to Groot. He's like this simpleton of the group, but he has got a lot of heart. But King Shark's got a lot of heart and a big stomach, and he just literally just wants to eat people. And his interactions with all the other characters is brilliant, and the way they sort of trying to teach him, and his character evolution is outstanding. King Shark was by far a highlight. Now, they don't really portray it very much in the trailers. They just sort of, in the trailers, he just looks like a bit of a dumbass. But during the whole course of the film, King Shark's he's one of the best characters. I think he was the one I was rooting for the most to try and make it all the way through the film. I was like, no, he's still there. And King Shark's outstanding, and Stallone's voice work, exceptionally good. Now, yeah, I would highly recommend the Suicide Squad. If you enjoyed sort of some of the DC films, if you like James Gunn as a director, if you just want a fun film that's sort of, it's got a bit of violence to it, and it's a bit crude, then, do you know what? The Suicide Squad is right up your street. It's not your typical superhero film. By far, it is nothing like superhero films. There's no sort of silver lining at the end of it as such, and it is just a very enjoyable film through and through, and I highly recommend it. Do stick around to the end, because there's a scene just after the title card, and then there's an actual end credit scene right at the very end, all the way at the end, that was awesome. It's so good, and it was one of them ones where it was a really good scene. Do you know what I mean? It was worth the wait. It's only a short scene, but for me, I felt it was worth it. The one after the title card was brilliant. Okay, so that was just incredible. Okay, but then like the one at the very end, that was really good as well. So that one sets a bit of ground of what could be going forward, which is kind of interesting. So it hopefully sort of means that we could get a sequel from James Gunn in the DC universe, which I'm hoping we do. I really am. I know he's going back to do Guardians 3, but let's hope he goes back and makes a sequel to The Suicide Squad. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed my review. If you did, drop me a like, subscribe to the channel for more Ace content. It only takes a second to hit that like button, and I really do appreciate it, guys. So please follow me on Instagram for updates. And with that, guys, I'll catch you later.